is host to a stop on the CMC motocross circuit. 1986 was our first visit to Carlsbad, but we soon found out how rough the action was for the riders of these high-powered machines. In one of the 125cc heat, the action was not 10 seconds old when this pileup happened. As the field powered away, the down riders were lucky enough to pick up and go on. In the replay, you can see just exactly what the problem was. The track narrows, probably by 2/3 going into turn 1. And turn 1 is almost 180 degrees. A nightmare for the riders of all classes who were scrambling for position. In the quad runner class, number 86, Brian Fry had a typical problem of an open wheel vehicle. He got tangled with the rider in front of him, and some sort of flip was inevitable. Now, this was Brian Fry again, and again he landed on the wheels of a competitor. The wheels tangle, and over goes Brian Fry. As we look again, Brian Fry was charging to the outside to make the pass of number 12, Jim Putman. The open wheels snap, and when that happens, anything can result. The result here is that Brian Fry was run up onto the embankment, and he took another nasty tumble. These are the 250cc machines. Here's how Brock and I called this incident. Now it is Ward in front of Billy Frank, or is it? Oh, and they collide. They are both down and down hard. Some spectators get jostled around, but doesn't appear to be anybody down there. Billy Frank took the worst of this. He's in pain, Ron.
He took a hard shot at his left leg. He's holding his left knee.
For some reason, number 26, Billy Frank, got way to the inside and couldn't correct fast enough to avoid hitting number 1, W. Jeff Ward. After contact, Billy Frank was on the bottom of that pile, taking the worst of the impact.
Well, he was right behind me for about 3 laps, and then he passed me going around his turn, and I thought I'd get him back on his double, and I passed him, but I landed in a hole, and my hand came off the bar, and I just slid over and hit him.
So he kept going, but you were the loser, huh?
Yeah, I think I smashed my knee. I hope I didn't twist it, though, because it'll take a long time if I twisted it.
Oh, boy, it's injuries like twisted knees that bend the ranks of motocross riders more than anything else. This is number 28, Bob Moore, and number 82, Jeff Weeks, fighting for the same piece of turf. Both riders lost their balance and came back down to earth the hard way. Let's slow it down so you can see that number 28, Bob Moore, got a little out of his line, came over and tagged Jeff, knocking both of them off balance and into the dirt. It looked like Moore and the yellow took the worst of it, but they both walked away. The next casualty on this top Carlsbad track was the number 6 bike of Russ Wageman. He, like Bob Moore in the incident before, got too close to a fellow competitor and pays the price by landing on his back. His hopes for a good finish that day were over. And that incident could have gone either way. Wageman came a little wide out of the turn and made initial contact with the number 4 machine. But as Wageman attempted to make things right, he overcorrected, out came the rear wheel, and he was down hard. TNN and American Sports Cavalcade returned to Carlsbad in 1987, and the competition was just as keen as the year before. Here in the 80cc expert class, Jeff Emig in the green went down, and Chad Patterson didn't see him, hit him, and also went down. Obviously, both riders were okay and got back into it without losing too many positions. The replay shows us that Jeff Emig's rear wheel went wide as he was negotiating the turn. He went down immediately, and then came Chad Patterson, who not only hit the bike, but gave Emig a good shot to the face. They say motocross riders are the best conditioned athletes in the world. Even the mini bike riders are in that kind of shape. They got up and were just fine. The 80cc expert class is composed of the youngest riders. Here, 2 of the most aggressive were battling for second. Paul Page called it.
Up toward Dimble's drop. Here they come over the top again. The battle for second place. Gaddis closes on the outside. Gets around him. We've got a problem here. A crash as Antunes goes down.
And he went down hard. Paul, that appeared to be just a simple case of 2 riders getting together, fighting over that second spot. They got together hard. But this man was the big loser.
But here's an opportunity to look at it again. That is Gaddis on the left-hand side. Antunes makes the turn in as Gaddis exits a little wide. It looks to me, Steve, like just a quick fight for second, and Antunes happens to be the loser here.
And the following riders did a good job of missing Buddy Antunes. That was a little close. He is up, he's back on his bike, getting it fired. He'll rejoin the race.
own teammate.
Yeah, it was just, oh, I tried taking the inside, and he went around me like that, and he got underneath my arm and just washed my front end out, and I just went over and I knocked my head. And
You really went down hard. Were you hurt?
well, I just hit my head, and I just figured I'd lay there because I didn't no sense of getting up when my head hurt. I don't know, I'll get him in the next moto.
He said something when you rolled up here. Was he apologizing?
Yeah, you know, it wasn't his fault or nothing. We were just both going for it. It's just one of those things. It's racing.
That's what it's all about.
Yep.
Good luck to you. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Well, luckily, Buddy Anjanez was missed by the other riders behind him. Not so lucky was number 5, Ricky Johnson, who in this 250cc qualifier not only went down hard, but was hit by 3 riders. The third one hit him hard. Paul Page saw the results in Johnson's pit.
Here's Ricky Johnson, and Ricky, if you turn in there, there's evidence of that earlier crash. It didn't seem to slow you down, but it had to hurt.
Yeah, it hurt. It knocked the wind out of me really bad. Getting hit once isn't bad, twice is bad, but 3 times, well, that was the charm. I thought when I crashed, I was laying on the ground, I got hit a couple times, and then I thought that was it. I looked back, and one of the last place riders was just coming straight for me and hit me really hard.
Why does Honda pay Ricky Johnson $1 million a year? In spite of that injury, Ricky Johnson went on to win the event in the 250cc class. In 1988, back at Carlsbad, typical motocross mayhem in turn number 1. In the 125cc class, Dana Wiggins was the first to meet the dirt. He had been in 5th and charging at the time. Well, Dana Wiggins did not give up after that fall. He worked his way back up to 7th, and this was just not to be his day. Then number 72, Joel Breck, lost it on the dry part, but lands on the wet part. Nobody said this course made any sense. Looking at it again, the bike simply slides out from under Joel. The outside of the track had been dried by the sun. A surprising and dangerous situation when a rider is used to a track being wet and tacky. Watch the second bike on your screen. That is 173 Willie Bowden, and Willie was caught completely off guard. So was I at the time. Ooh, Willie Bowden is down. Willie Bowden is down. I don't have to tell you. Hard.
Took a very hard spill, holding on to his right knee. And the motorcycle, he's not going to get back up. Let's just hope that he doesn't get clouded. Fortunately, there doesn't seem to be many riders behind him, and Willie is in a lot of pain.
Let's see if we can determine just what happened. It looks like Willie Bowden was concentrating down track. Suddenly, the rear wheel hit a deep pocket in the track and bounces up with enough force to send the bike sideways, throwing Willie down hard. The bill on his helmet was instantly shattered as it took the initial force of the spill. But Willie still suffers some knee and leg injuries that forced a trip to the hospital. Now watch this carefully. At the center right of your screen is number 15, Michael Craig in mid-tumble. And this one hurt.
They are attending to Michael Craig. He took a very hard hit, Steve.
Oh boy, I'll say, and the motorcycle just kind of flew away from him. At least he didn't get tangled up with it. Let's take another look at this. Well, Brock, hard to say in that picture exactly what happened, other than Michael Craig took a very hard hit. Not only on the dirt, but the motorcycle did indeed pounce on him at least once. Other than a few battle scars on the chest. You okay, Mike?
Yeah, just kind of sore on my neck a little bit. That's about it.
What happened?
Well, I thought I can wheelie over to make it, a little bit more time stay on the ground. And when I tried to wheelie over, it kind of kicked me over, and I hit a couple of bracket bumps and went over the bars. But other than, a couple of bruises on my neck, I'm okay. Ready to go again.
What a tough bunch of kids we always find at Carlsbad. In 1984, we met up with the World of Outlaws in Rossburg, Ohio, home of the Eldora Speedway. Eldora is one of the most competitive tracks in America. The Outlaws seldom disappoint. Here, Sammy Swindell took a seldom-seen spin. And here, Sammy spun again. Must have still been sorting out the car for this very cooey wet racetrack. But spins are very mild there indeed in outlaw action. Just at number 5, Randy Kinser. Look at that. And Randy Kinser, Brock, snap rolls that car 3, maybe 4 times, and pieces flying off. The one wheel completely collapsed against the wall. Randy Kinser upside down, the roll cage making contact with the dirt. Officials right on the scene, a man with a fire extinguisher just in case.
Oh, there he comes. He's climbing out of the car. He's unstrapped his safety harness, and there is a roll cage inside that automobile, so he probably was not hurt that badly. He seems to be moving around pretty well. He's a tough kid, Randy Kinser, anyway.
And Randy showed that in outlaw racing, you can get in trouble all by yourself. He got him high on the track into the marbles, and although he turned the car, it kept going straight into the wall. The car then got perpendicular to the wall and began to tumble. But once again, that huge wing absorbed most of the impact. Afterwards, Brock talked to Randy Kinser, and he wasn't all that displeased with things.
Car's pretty well beat up, huh? Oh, it isn't real bad. The wings and stuff's tore off, but it's front end, put back under another wing, we'll be ready to go. You okay? Yeah, I'm fine. Okay. This place is a little tough when you get up too high, huh? Yeah, the wall comes up pretty quick. Okay.
In 1988, it was TNN's first trip to meet the Outlaws in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And there we met a guy named Tom Johnson who drove the very weird-looking blue number 22 car. He said the new wing design worked better, but nobody was convinced that day. Number 63 Jack Hewitt then demonstrated the latest in outlaw stunt driving. Whoa, can you believe that? That thing's got a little rougher as the day progressed. Number 1B Bobby Allen and number 1 Sammy Swindell came together in turn 4. But the real action was reserved for number 10, Jeff Swindell. Jeff ran up on the back of number 61, and that was all it took to put him into the endo mode and out for the day. Once again, as we look at replay, it would seem that Swindell didn't even see the car in front of him, the way he ran up on his rear end. Nonetheless, Jeff Swindell was a big loser in this brief altercation. Drive a sprint car without a wing? Not that man, Jeff Swindell. Then in the A feature, Brock and I had plenty to talk about. And traffic is starting to be a real factor here. And oh, we have got spinning out is Bobby Davis Jr. He was closing on the lap car number 85, Bob Ewell, and all of this happened. To add insult to injury, Bobby Davis Jr. was the pole sitter in this race. In replay, as he came up on the last car, he suddenly lost control and spun to a stop in turn 4. Notice that he was headed directly into the sun. He was probably blinded for just the instant that it took to lose control. Once he was slowed down, it was only seconds before the other drivers were also blinded and just piled on. Well, it looked worse than it was, and all Bobby Davis Jr. walked away with was an injured ego and pocketbook. The next day, number 17, Chris Eash took his turn.
We got a green, we're underway. Oh, all of a sudden, no. Chris Eash dumped upside down at the very start. Coming off turn number 4, Eash is tumbled.
Well, a couple cars got bottled up, and I just got up over somebody's wheel, dumped it.
Classic sprint car crash, right?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we're glad, most important, that everybody's all right. We're sorry you're out, though.
Okay, thank you.
With the Outlaws, it's not if you're going to crash, it's when. Well, you know, it seems that everywhere you go, people like rodeo action. And Greensboro, North Carolina is no exception. We showed up in 1983 with our national network cameras to witness some of the greatest riding in America. Regrettably, Joe Lentini on the saddle bronc did not provide it. Kyle Whiting drew a young bull who got Kyle into an unenviable position real quick. The rodeo clown was there to assist, and Kyle got loose, but not before a couple of inches were added to his right arm. In all seriousness, Kyle Whiting was in trouble, and only his quick thinking and the help of the rodeo clown avoided anybody getting seriously injured. Now, this is one of my favorite moments. Marshall Coker got up on his knees in the saddle for extra leverage for his patented one-point landing. That was not the point he intended to land on. Then suddenly, bullfighter Rex Dunn was in trouble. Rex Dunn was attempting to get points for getting close, yet outmaneuvering this half-Brahma, half-Mexican fighting bull. But as you can see, it was not to be for Rex Dunn that night. That bull had Rex right where he wanted him, on the ground. Why did they wear baggy clothing? In looking at another angle, it was lucky for Rex that when the bull made his second swipe, he caught mostly closed. I talked to Rex shortly afterwards.
He's probably one of the rankest fight bulls going down the world, and I took my shot. I took a close chance, and it's the name of the game. You know, I didn't make it. He caught me.
Well, I'll tell you what, it's hard for me or anybody in this arena to believe that you can get out of this unscathed.
Well, I'm a pretty lucky guy, and I'm a Christian too. I got the good Lord helping me fight bulls, and that's what counts.
Did you know that Diamond P Sports was the first to produce television for Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin? Yep, we were there to catch this unflattering moment for driver Desiree Wilson. Ditto for Jose Lee Garza, who, judging by the tire tracks, was not the first to go off in that corner. Trans Am driver Darren Brasfield was involved in this incident in turn 12 that found him rolling through 3 cat's nets to put him out for the day. When you look closely at the highlight of this replay, you can see the cause of Brasfield's problem. He shreds the left rear tire on that Corvette, causing a loss of control, especially in braking heading into the corner. He was carrying so much speed that he could not possibly hope to stop that car. But it is for that exact reason that the SCCA installed safety nets there. Young Brasfield walked away unhurt, but he couldn't help venting what had to be a lot of frustration on anyone who would listen. 1985 brought us back to Road America for IMSA racing action. First casualty was Ian Schechter in the Zero GT prototype. Not only did he spin, but he got a little kiss right there from Doc Buckby. A little later, it was Ian Schechter again, this time almost T-boned by Derek Bell. What a ride. Steve reports via the turn worker communication system that the most dreaded thing that can happen to a race car driver happened to him. It's called one stuck throttle.
Right here, turn 12, you can see Steve has locked up the brakes. He knows he's in trouble. The car spins in a very fast part of the racetrack, slams backward into this tire wall. That absorbs a lot of the energy, but still, Steve takes an awful ride. Fortunately, the roll cage and all the safety equipment work, and Steve walks away from it.
In 1986 Road America, I felt a little sorry for the slower GTU cars. They were trying to stay out of the way, but still getting muscled off the track. As number 17, Al Bacon, could tell you on that day. Then a scary moment as number 83, John Devendorf, came down the front straight backwards at around 100 miles per hour. He careened off the pit road fence, trailing fiberglass, slid across the track, and came to rest happily without anyone hitting him or doing too much damage to his own car. In the GTO class, the track was slick, and Gene Felton found out the hard way just how slick. Then a simple shunt between the red number 5, driven by Jim Mullen, and car number 8, driven by Pete Halsmer, led to this.
In my opinion, he didn't have a pass made. I braked, I got back on the gas, turned into the corner, and lo and behold, Pete Halsmer thought he had a pass made. And I think this is going to be one of those racing accidents where I'm going to say he didn't have a pass, Pete's going to say he had a pass, but the net result is that my car's in the trees and he's out there still racing.
Well, Jim Mullen walked away from this one, probably finding it hard to believe that he had to climb out of a tree first. Our visit in 1987 started out with a bang, literally.
It looks like we blew a tire going down the straightaway, and that ripped all the suspension off. But it was exciting, but luckily we managed to get a stop without hitting anything, so it'll be fixed and ready to go tomorrow.
Jeff, were you under braking or were you under power?
No, I was flat out in 5th gear. I was about 3/4 of the way down, and it definitely got my attention.
This next incident we're about to show you goes down in my book as one of the most spectacular and one of the most scary I have ever witnessed in road racing.
Here come your leaders, Brabham, Jones, and Watson, all running together through that very fast kink of the racetrack.
And Davy Jones is off the track. Oh, right. Just a awful crasher, Davy Jones. Oh, Cyril Vandenberg. who was riding in fourth, came through in the Corvette, had nowhere to go. He tagged, but literally destroyed BMW. Now we're with John Gordon as he rides through to the ring. Let's just hope that Davy Jones is okay, Ronnie.
Let's take another look at this, Steve. Here comes Jeff Brabham in the Nissan. Right behind him, you can see him. There's Davy Jones getting his left wheels off on the dirt. The car takes a sharp right-hand turn and head on into that fence on the inside.
Now watch the airborne gyrations as car goes through. It spins 360 after 360. Davy Jones, right now awful glad he's in an IMSA-style endurance car. This is Peter further back than the European version. And there comes Vandermeer. He absolutely was an innocent bystander, had nowhere to go, and hit with the right front and hit hard.
Jones is out of the race car. He stepped out of that March-built BMW-powered chassis.
Well, I was running second, very close behind Jeff Brabham in the Nissan, and going through the kink, I was tucked in very close behind him, and suddenly I had to lift to avoid from tapping him in the rear. And when I was accelerating, coming out of the corner, very close behind him, I just found myself in the grass on the outside of the circuit. And I found there, when I was running very close behind, it's difficult to see. And the more that I think of it now, with the end plates on the Nissan, I think it's very difficult to see the exit of the track when you're in such close racing competition.
Davy Jones, a very lucky young man to walk away from that one unscathed. And they walked away, now moves to Indiana, Winchester specifically, and the Winchester 400 ASA Stock Car Competition. Greeting us with a magnificent smoke trail was number 95 Jim Cooper as he blindly headed into turns 1 and 2. A blown engine put him on the trailer that day in 1984. More trouble in 1 and 2 as 80 Alan Kulwicki spins it completely around, yet miraculously avoids being removed from competition by the other cars. On our return in 1986, the first 2 turns were more dangerous than ever.
Oh, Steve, a spin in turn 1.
That is Wayne Emerson of the red car, who apparently blew an engine. Now let's hope they see, not all of them do.
Well, the first car to hit him was a second-place Firebird of Dunleavy, and he's down in the apron of the racetrack. And look at this, another last-second spin here. So we got 4, 5 cars all hooked up in there in those banks. And look at poor old Dunleavy's automobile. He can't be happy.
There's good and bad both in racing. This is just our day for the bad.
What a good attitude. In 1986, we joined the ASA circuit in Cincinnati, Ohio. There, Dick Trickle showed us just how to use an in-car camera to illustrate problems inside the car. Specifically, what happens when an engine lets go. Now, watch the number 88 car of Mike Eddy as he pulls a classic. Who, me? By starting this incident and driving away unscathed. He had to be saying to himself, sorry guys, but you know, that's automobile racing. And poor Grant Wilson in the red car, he didn't even know what hit him. Now it's up to Columbus, Ohio, in one of the proudest moments for Diamond T Sports and the National Network. It was coverage of this race that won American Sports Cavalcade a coveted ACE Award. Number 50, Terry Visser, started things off in his GTU Fiero. Terry Visser's got a problem. Visser nose first into the wall on Long Street just before that turn onto Marconi. And Brockton, what do you think caused that?
I would imagine a brake locked up on Terry. He's going to try to limp it into the pits. The yellow was out on that corner, but we'll get another look at it as Chris Gord right behind Terry. Notice the car just spikes his way to the right. That's probably a left front brake that locked up on the car and put him into the fence.
In 1986, California driver Rick Newb had a close call, driving Jim Busby's 962 Porsche number 67. Here, at the wheel is Newb. Brock and I called it this way. There's smoke starting to come up inside that car.
Absolutely into the hairpin now. He's got fire. Yes, a whole bunch of fire as he comes out of the keyhole. He's going to have to get out of that thing mighty quick, Steve. There is a bunch of fire in that 962.
Well, this is about as bad a blaze as I've ever seen in IMSA racing. Here comes Newb. He appears to be all right. He looked a little disoriented, Brock. I don't think he knew where he was. Oh, my God, that is a $250,000 blaze.
Got a guy with a little tiny fire extinguisher. That is not going to work.
Well, after things did cool down, Rick explained what happened.
Well, I was radioing into the crew that the oil pressure light, which we have on these cars, started to blink, and I told them that I was going to pit on that lap because I looked over at the oil pressure gauge, and all of a sudden it went a little bit to a level that we don't like to run it at, and I knew that the motor was getting sick, so I was going down the back straightaway there, and all of a sudden a rather large vibration happened, and I looked in the rearview mirror, and the whole car was up in flames, so I, at that time, started looking for some support from some of the turn workers that we have here, who, by the way, were excellent. And I parked the car, and by the time I parked the car, all the flames came forward. And I couldn't see where I was, so I just, at that point, just got out of that thing. I think the fastest I've ever gotten out of a car. And I think the car's all right, but I'm just glad as hell I got out of it.
Well, this scene of Nuke running away from that blaze is a classic in motorsports. Not to be outgunned, the GTO race at Columbus had its own moments. They go down to the keyhole. This is where the action has been all day long. And it's going to be, he taps Pruitt. Baldwin ran right into the back of Pruitt. Now turning on the inside. And Pruitt says, I have had enough of this.
Let's take one more look at it as they exit the keyhole. Here's Willie T. Ribbs in the blue and white Camaro. There is Baldwin trying to go inside of Pruitt. Pruitt just turns left and points Jack into the fence. Now Pruitt survives this, at least far enough to get into the pits. Not so Jack Baldwin. Takes a hard hit on the inside guardrail, tears off the left front of the car, and comes to a halt out in the middle of the racetrack, out for the day.
I think maybe Scott lost control of his control of himself and his race car. There's a real lot of character for him. I'm surprised. I pulled up beside him, and he just drilled me. He just put me in, and I mean, we're going down the straightaway and we're side by side, and we were absolutely nose to nose, and he just turned left and stuffed me in.
We came out of the corner together. I was under power real hard, pretty much sideways. I believe we came together, and he touched the wall, and I kept on going. It's just real unfortunate. I was kind of priding myself on being a nice, clean driver. It's happened in Trans Am, and now it's moving over to here. And you don't really want to be a crybaby, but you can't really keep putting up with this stuff forever, you know?
No, indeed. In 1984, 86, and 87, Wildby covered another legendary World of Outlaws sprint car track, Devil's Bowl in Mesquite, Texas. Now, lucky for Greg Woolley, who got the tumble put on him by number 23, Steve Perry, there was no outside wall at Devil's Bowl to cause more trouble than he already had. As you look again, you can see it's another example of open wheels coming together. And usually it's the car behind that gets the worst of it. And the worst of it in this case was 1 1/2 tumbles for Greg Woolley. Well, Greg walked away from that one uninjured, ready to race another day. The car, on the other hand, was not. Well, buckle up, everybody. It's 1986, and this footage will speak for itself. Down the front straightaway they come, and we got big trouble.
That is Jack Haudenchild. Upside down, a couple of nasty spins, and more trouble in turn 1. That's Dave Bradway Jr. and Jeff Swindell in the 91 car all hooked up down there. But the serious problem is right here in turn 4, right on the front straightaway. That is Jack Haudenchild.
No injuries in turn number 1, Brock. Jeff and Dave Bradway Jr. both appear to be okay, and oh, what a relief. Out of that sprint car to the roar of the crowd comes Jack Haudenchild. What a tough little guy. Again, another look at this spectacular accident. It looks as if possibly the number 6 car, Bobby Davis Jr., may have pushed Haudenchild into the back of Randy Smith's car, and then Bobby Davis Jr. is still involved in actually flipping the vehicle. What punishment that man took. He's got to be in very good physical condition to walk away without as much as a limp. Well, a sprint car driver, Jack Hewitt, once told me, hey, if it was easy, nobody'd buy a ticket to the darn things. Okay, it was 1987, the same track, and it was the same place on the track. World of Outlaws sprint cars on a half-mile dirt oval. They thunder, oh, Paul, we have got a bad crash down the main straightaway. In fact, at least a half a dozen cars involved.
Serious accident. That is Dave Blaney's car. Look underneath it. Blaney is climbing out of the car. Look at that. He walks away. And listen to that crowd. Blaney walks away from that crash uninjured.
And it is truly amazing that he did. Notice that the wing crumbled immediately and turned out to be of little help in cushioning the impact of that incident. Luckily, the car flipped upright just in time to avoid oncoming traffic.
When you realized you were in that predicament, what did you think?
All you do is just hang on. You know, that's all you do.
Yeah, hang on and pray.